So I want to do another video for our latest student gradebook and dashboard after our latest revisions. So I've got the guide pulled up and we'll kind of follow the guide and I'll walk through how the entire dashboard works from start to finish. So as you're going through the guide, you'll notice, it kind of says, hey, you're starting here, and I've got the dashboard pulled up. So we'll jump right into class setup. So set class code, I've got it currently set to freshman English. Set it to kind of whatever you want, just a short name, and this will show up in the student tabs. And then your set semester block. So it's one class per file. You can have multiple students, but one class per file. So if you had multiple files for multiple classes, and you kind of want a way to not only keep you organized, but when the file's open to kind of ensure you're in the right one. This is a way you can either number them or letter them or do whatever you want, so each file stands out differently. And you'll notice, like if I jump to the student report, I'm going to have that semester block code kind of show up here. Okay, and then next is the categories and the percent weight. So you get 10 syllabus categories, and then a percentage weight. So the percent weight doesn't need to add to 100%. You just weighting your syllabus, as you normally would. And you can kind of set these accordingly to however you feel, and you can change them later if you needed to. And from that syllabus category, the grade weight, and then the student assignments and all that math you'll get across all students in your class, you get a syllabus category grade for each one. And then you'll get your overall class grade. And the category grades are what's graphed up here to the right as well. Okay, so student roster. Again, it's that simple. So the dashboard, that's it. That's all you do. The student roster. So it looks like a busy table, but it's really simple. So for the tab names, they're already pre-named and pre-numbered. So you'll notice student 1 corresponds to a tab called student 1. Student 2 corresponds to a tab student 2. When you added student, so it'd be student 3, and it'll correspond to student 3. And you just keep doing that sequentially for how many students you need, up to 40 students. So this dashboard supports 40 kids. So as far as what you do on this sheet is just your student roster. So you'll add in your student names, and that's it. That's all you do. So the rest to the right is data being pulled in from your student tabs based on the student tab number and the student name. And as a quick example, student 1, I've got a name Mary S in here. So if I go to student 1, you'll see that the student pulled in is Mary, and her name's in the header. So again, it's all real quick visuals to make sure you're in the, if you're logging grades, you're in the right tab for the right student, in the right class, the right block, etc. So you can have several of these, and you're filling out the right information in the right place. So jump back to, so next is actual student tab. So you'll notice there's a lot of kind of gray and blue. All that's automatic. So if you click on it, it's all formulas. It's all kind of locked and protected. You can unlock the sheet, but it's intended to prevent errors. So the only thing you're going to fill out is really the peach and white boxes, and then there's a selection box up here, which I'll explain in a minute. So the student tabs, the curriculum categories, this all comes from your dashboard entry. Overall scoring, this comes from the assignment and the associated grades and the curve you put in, which we'll talk about. And then the actual assignment categories. So there is we can talk about it a little more in a bit, but there's an actual tab that you log your assignments and the comment details for that and the curve value, and that pulls into each of the student tabs. So when you're in a student tab, it's all you have to do is come in and log the grade. And the reason it's set up this way is, for one, a streamlined assignment entry process, but two, you get a nice snapshot by student, which you can print for a progress report. And it's much more, tells you a lot more about how that student's doing versus just a busy sheet with a bunch of students and assignments, and you don't get the details, kind of how they're doing across the different categories. And so we'll keep going. Student progress tracking. So actual hypothetical, this doesn't do anything other than act as a visual for you. And the reason I have a hypothetical option in here, so let's say you're midway through the year, you want to print this as a progress report, and you want to show, okay, maybe a student struggling, and you want to demonstrate to a parent, if they do this for the rest of the year, you can plug in some hypothetical grades. You can tag them as hypothetical and say, hey, look, they're not doing well, but if they do this for the rest of the year, this is what their grade would be for the class, etc. So you can kind of show, you can kind of do like a before and after. That's all that function does. Student tab link. So this is kind of a nice feature. If I go back to my student gradebook, you'll see I've got the 2 students pulled in. Let's say Mary moves. You're going to be adding assignments to the assignment and curve log throughout the year, and this supports up to 100 assignments. So you'll be adding assignments, and you won't be adding grades. Now it won't actually affect the score if I show you. So if I go to assignment curve log and I'll go down here. Let's add a class exercise. So if I go to student 1, the grade's the same. It doesn't matter until you actually add a score. Actually, let's make it stand out. So now it dropped it to an 89. But if I take it out, it doesn't impact the grade. So you're going to have a bunch of assignments and then no actual grades logged. And ultimately, you just don't want her grade. No, she's no longer part of your class. You may not want her scores impacting your overall grade at the end because now she's gone. So this is just a quick feature to say link to dashboard. No. So you turn it off. You'll notice her name drops out, so it basically stops pulling from the table. And if you go to your gradebook, you'll see her name. Hey, you'll know she was here, but she's gone, and all of her grades are no longer impacting your total class scores. Okay, so if I go to category grade for class exercises, because I only got John, class exercise, John's got an 80. So that's the reason your gradebook now only shows an 80. So it shows that Mary has dropped out of your score. So let's go back to student 1. We'll turn that back on. Okay, adding tabs for each student. This is super easy. So move or copy, and I'm going to create a copy, and I'm going to select move to end, and it just means I'm adding the tab over here to the right. Doesn't matter, you could drag it later, but that way you're not hunting for it if you just select to the end. So student 3. So now student 3, freshman English 1. I would change the grades if I'm adding a student and log in the grades, but essentially everything's automatic. And then if I go back to my gradebook, because I copied John's tab, it's identical now, but now they're added. And now it's going to play into your overall score. See how nice that worked out? Okay, so let's do, and yeah, you'll notice my gradebook, if I go back to that class exercise, instead of an 85, it's now an 83 because I've got 2 students that are in the 80 range for class exercises. Okay, so I don't want, actually, I'm going to delete this tab. Actually, I'll leave it in here for now, it doesn't matter. Assignment curve feature. So there's a curve by assignment. Again, it's logged here. And I'll talk about the actual curve function a little more in a minute. But because this is intended to be a progress report, you may or may not want, if you're sharing it with parents, you may want to hide the curve details. So there's a quick, easy feature. If I go back to my gradebook, hide curves in student reports. So if I select yes, and go back to student 1, it's gone. So the math is still there. It's just formatted so the color matches so you don't see it, basically. Everything's still doing it, just hides it so you can print this and don't have to show the curve details if you don't want to. And that's all that feature does. So let's go back to the gradebook. We'll say nope. Have that show back up. Okay, let's keep going here. Assignment curve feature. So on the curve, so let's go to the assignment curve. So on this tab, this is where you would, add any category. You can make comments, about what kind of assignment it is, because this is based on your syllabus category. So this is actually a drop down of your 10 syllabus, and then you'll pick your details. Curve function is pre-populated for each one. A 1 means no curve. So you're just multiplying your number by a 1. if your students did do that well and you want to, hey, look, everybody kind of struggled with this, maybe you multiply it by a 1.1 and give them a kind of a 10% bump, so it bumps the average across all those, all your student grades for that assignment. Or maybe you made it too easy and it's a 0.9. But either way, it's basically how it works. It's real simple, and you just change them if you need to as you go. Now I've got something highlighted, you'll see. So over here in my guide, there's a green and X, or a green check mark and a red X. And I'm highlighting something really important. So the overall scoring is based on the curved grade, right? So these values over here. So you're going to log your actual grade, but know all the class students' grades are based on the curve details. So you do want to make sure that there's no errors and that these are ones if they are intended to be ones, because it will impact the grade for each student and for the whole class. And then the assignment long, I've kind of already talked about that. But it's pretty cut and dry, straightforward, right? Just pick your category. So I'm going to add a project, and I may say it's project. I've already got one up here, so maybe I'll say second essay if it's for English class or whatever the project is, or change your syllabus categories, whatever you want to add. And then what you'll see is, so if I add project, then I'll say second essay. And really you want to do this, and I've got this screwed up. Let's do this. Shouldn't be skipping spaces. It won't matter to the math, but it would look stupid. So projects, and I'll do second essay. If I go to my student tabs, you're going to notice that now projects and second essay is in here, and there's a grade already populated in here, but you'd update your grade, etc. Oh, and then grading scale. And you don't really have to do anything, it's preset, but you'll notice right now Mary has a B+. So she's got an 86.3, and that's a B+. So there's a gradebook scale, which you can set. So here's your letter grades, A+, A minus, etc., all the way to F. And then the grade min, and the max is automatic, based on the, it's min, max, and it's set on the previous grade. You can change these, or if you use a different grading scale at your school or for whatever, you can update these numbers. But that's all it does, is each student is taking this grade and comparing it to your grading scale and then giving them a letter grade. And then it shows up in the header for a nice, hey, this is how the student's doing. And that's all it does. That's all that works. And I'll go back and let's just see. So no, or yes, I mean, and student 2, student 3. Again, it makes a really nice progress report for each student. Go back to my grade book, and that's it. Thanks for watching.